Super Mario Sunshine! Woohoo!
There's a conversation between Mario and Toadsworth at the airstrip that is only present in the Japanese version of the game. This conversation happens when Peach first notices Shadow Mario and was for some reason removed in all other versions of Super Mario Sunshine.
I imagine you'll be spending a fair amount of time at the princess's side.
Look like Mario's gonna have to find a job.
Even in the Japanese version, these lines are barely audible, meaning most players have likely never heard them. There are also a couple of unused voice lines for the airstrip that would have played at the start of the game.
It's outrageous we weren't informed of this prior to our arrival. Who's in charge? How odd! What could have happened to the airstrip?
Oh no, we're gonna be late for dinner. Looks like a giant empty plate.
The Japanese version of Super Mario Sunshine has a funny glitch only available in that version. After you defeat Shadow Mario in each area, Delfino Plaza floods. A short cutscene plays and Mario falls from the sky into the water below and lets out a scream. Mario's scream sounds normal in the international release, but the original Japanese release has a slight bug with this part as Mario's scream when he falls is a bit glitched. At some point in the game's development, there was planned to be a sniper nozzle for FLUDD. This was scrapped very early, but we do have access to some of the parameters of the nozzle that were left in the game's files. The sniper nozzle would have required a charge up before spraying, similar to the rocket nozzle, but would have been 100 times more powerful than the regular spray nozzle, along with having a larger hit radius. When you load up the game, you can hear a coin sound play when the Nintendo logo first appears. There's supposed to be a 1 in 8 chance for Mario to say,
Ciao!
instead of the coin sound, but the RNG for the startup screen was never properly implemented. This causes the Ciao sound effect to never actually play in regular gameplay. At the very start of the game when you first collect FLUDD, there's a cutscene that plays. During this cutscene in the bottom corner, you can see footage of Mario defeating Bowser in the original Super Mario Bros., Super Mario World, and Super Mario 64. FLUDD has a similar Easter egg at the end of the game when FLUDD dies, except now at the bottom corner you can see a GameOver screen instead. One of my favorite glitches in the game is the banana ramp. As the name implies, you need both a banana and a ramp. First you place the banana on the ramp and then climb under the banana. If you push the A button to kick upwards and hit the banana, the game will get confused on where exactly to place Mario and sends him up to the very, very top of the map. So high up you can't even see Isle Delfino anymore. If you decide to sit here and let Mario fall, it takes over an hour for him to reach the island again.
Mamma mia.
As you get closer to the island, you can get a pretty cool look at all of the different areas around Isle Delfino. In the opening video of the game, you see Mario, Peach, and Toadsworth all watching a tourist video promoting Isle Delfino. Interestingly, if you look closely, you can see that Mario is actually in the corner when Bianco Hills shows up, proving he was on the island prior to them arriving at the start of the game. Maybe they were justified in arresting him right away.
Mamma mia. The horror.
In Sirena Beach, you can access the air ducts at the very top of the hotel where there are a bunch of ghosts blocking certain pathways. In the air ducts, there's a Pianta who is busy trying to clean the ducts. This Pianta mentions how he wishes someone could suck up all of the ghosts with a vacuum cleaner, which is a reference to Luigi and his poltergeist vacuum from Luigi's Mansion. In Pinna Park, the swiping stew enemies can steal Mario's hat, causing him to start taking damage. Normally you'd stop taking damage by getting your hat back, but for some reason, just going into water also stops the damage. I guess the hat prevents Mario from taking damage from the sun somehow, and then the water also keeps him cool? I'm not sure. Fruits were added to all fountains in the international release. The Japanese version of the game does not have these fruits in the fountains. This was likely changed to make it easier to refill Yoshi's juice, as FLUDD would normally be able to refill at all of these fountains. When Mario does not have FLUDD with him, he is immune to fall damage. It's unclear why this is the case, but this is very likely an oversight from the developers. In Ricco Harbor's last mission, there's a very hidden way to get a 1-up. Towards the start of the level, you can see 3 Piantas floating around on some inflatable ducks. If you manage to speak to all 3 of them, then they will give you a 1-up. It's hard to actually speak with them as you can't talk to them in the water. You have to be at their height in order for the B button prompt to appear, which means you have to wait till they get to the edge next to a wall. I had to wait about 5 minutes for these guys to swim to the edge, so this is easily one of the slowest ways to get an extra life. Hopping on Yoshi will always switch your nozzle to the hover nozzle, even if you already had the turbo or rocket nozzle. I think this was an oversight rather than intentional game design, as there isn't really any reason for this to happen. The courtyard area at Sirena Beach is shaped like a GameCube controller if you view it looking away from the hotel. You can see on the right side that there are the B, A, X, and Y buttons, and on the other side you can see where the gray joystick is. They also have the C stick, but for some reason the D-pad looks like another controller stick rather than the actual D-pad. Flooded Delfino was developed and finalized before the final version of the regular Plaza was. You can tell as it has many errors and oddities that are not present in the normal version of the Plaza. Toadsworth is for some reason 25% smaller than normal. Purple Toad's vest is blue instead of his normal purple vest. Some of the textures on the houses are a bit bugged and just don't look right. The collision in a lot of areas is unfinished too. The regular plaza isn't exactly 100% finished or normal either. The first pillar here by the lighthouse doesn't actually extend all the way to the bottom of the ocean. There's also this weird door here by the police station. And there are lots of different collision errors too. Using one of the floating logs in the flooded plaza, you can glitch yourself underwater. There are many coins that are accessible by glitching under the water and using FLUDD. Also, for some reason, the shine emblem on the beach was moved over here and it only gives a coin, not a star. There's no way to get any of these coins without glitches, so it's interesting that they are still here in the final game, even when the developers thought no one would be able to collect them. It is possible to run underwater in pretty much every area of the game. There isn't really one consistent way to do this, so you have to employ a variety of glitches across each area. For Sirena Beach, you can use one of the barrels and place it right around the depth that Mario would normally start swimming. If done correctly, you should be able to start walking under the water. Noki Bay is a really interesting one. You can ground pound through the ground at this spot here and then swim your way down under the water. I like to grab a rocket nozzle to clip your way back under the ocean once you fall, but it is possible to do this without the rocket nozzle. From here you can explore the depths of Noki Bay, and if you climb a bit higher, you can explore the shallower area of the bay too. For whatever reason, Mario runs super fast in this area. He goes full on Naruto run. It's awesome. In Pianta Village, you can clip through the tree by jumping from the bottom platform on the tree and hovering upwards. From there you should fall to the base of the tree, where you can then hover towards the water. Delfino Plaza is one of the easiest places to do this glitch. You just gotta walk sideways into this wall like this, and then you'll immediately clip under the plaza. From there you just gotta jump yourself back up to the bottom of the ocean. These types of glitches are possible in pretty much every area. These are just the more interesting ones I wanted to show you. There's a small Easter egg hidden within the brochure of Pinna Park that you can view by pressing the Z button. The yellow Yoshi on the right has a bubble of text that is nearly impossible to read if you're playing on a GameCube and CRT, like everyone was when this game came out. Now with more modern ways to play the game, it is much easier to make out the text. It reads, "Please accept my best wishes for your marriage, Shinko." Discord user Andrad did some deep diving and found out this is for Shinko Takeshita, who was a map designer for Super Mario Sunshine. She got married to Yoshitaka Takeshita after they met while working together on developing Animal Crossing. Very cool little Easter egg that most players likely never noticed. In level 5 of Ricco Harbor, there are a bunch of fish swimming here near the large cargo boat. You can kill them by spraying water at them, which doesn't really make much sense, but they respawn instantly after getting defeated. This can look a little weird if you spray a bunch of them at once or repeatedly spawn kill them. There is a test map hidden within the game's files on the US and PAL versions of Mario Sunshine. This map uses the same textures as test maps from other games like Windwaker, and even has some unused objects like the soccer ball that you can kick around. In the far corner of the test stage, there for some reason is a Noki without a shell. If you spray them, you can see them try to hide in their shell that is non-existent. The test area also gives you access to both water barrels and climbable grates, which is interesting because these do not normally appear together in stages. If you grab a barrel, you can surprisingly still grab onto the grating and climb around. Mario has some very impressive core strength to be able to do this. You can even hang from the grating with no hands. If you are interested, you can access the test map yourself by using this action replay code. In episode 2 of Pinna Park, you encounter this guy here who shoots bullet bills at you from afar. Once you get closer to him, he starts to throw bombs at you. You're supposed to throw them back at him to defeat him and get into the secret stage. It's actually possible within his coding for him to throw other objects besides bombs, such as other enemies. This never actually happens in-game as his bomb throw percent is set to 100 and the others are set to 0. With a little bit of modding, you can get him to throw other objects again though. There's a giant unused sandcastle object within the files for the secret level of Gelato Beach. The regular secret stage has a bunch of sand blocks to jump on, and you have to enter a sandcastle to get to the stage, so this giant sand area fits right in. You can spray your water at different parts of the sand to make them wash away, just like if it was real sand. The sandcastle is massive, and probably the biggest object in any of the secret stages in the game. This area is honestly really cool, and it feels like a missed opportunity not having it in the final game. Within the game's files, there's some unused voice lines for when Mario collects a shine sprite. Let's take a quick listen.
Cool. Too cool. Perfect 10. Primo.
On the file select screen, if you go to the area on the right with the options settings, you won't be able to see very much. Normally you can't move the camera here at all, but with some cheats we can zoom out a bit and see a hidden dock off the right side of the screen. Not sure why they bothered to add this, as no one playing normally would ever see it. In Ricco Harbor's last stage, when you first load in, one of the Piantas is placed much higher than they normally should be. You won't notice this in the GameCube version because he starts off screen, but in the 3D All-Stars re-release, you can see this Pianta fault right at the start of the level intro cutscene. This is because the game is no longer an only 4:3 ratio. In level 3 of Noki Bay, Red Coins in a Bottle, there is a hidden book placed behind a door at the bottom of the bottle. It's unclear what the purpose of this book is, but there are many rumors and fan theories about this specific book and why it is hiding here. These fan theories and rumors have been circulating for over 20 years, and I don't think there is any consensus on why this is here. In Gelato Beach, there are many different Dune buds that you can spray to raise sand from the ground. This one here is the pyramid, and in the game's files, it is called Sand Bomb Base Pyramid. One of the other ones is this one. Within the game's files, it is called Sand Bomb Base Shit, because of it being shaped like a turd. This was likely added as a small internal joke from the developers. They likely thought that no one would ever see the name of it. The green blooper in the Ricco Harbor mission is the slowest of the 3 bloopers. Its lack of speed is actually a bit of a positive, as it makes it impossible to crash as long as you aren't pressing forwards while riding the blooper. This is because this blooper is so slow that the game doesn't recognize you hitting the wall as an actual collision that should kill Mario. In Gelato Beach, there's a fun glitch you can do involving the camera. If you go to this footprint Dune Bud and ground pound right as the purple part here goes really skinny, you can cause the camera to shift all the way to the top of the map. It won't stay there for too long, but you get a cool view as the camera shifts back to normal. At some point in development, Super Mario Sunshine was going to be a multiplayer game, or at least have some multiplayer elements to it. There's a function within the game's code called SMS-IS Multiplayer Map that has a specific camera behavior associated with it that clearly functions as a multiplayer camera. You can enable this with an action replay code, and the camera will follow both Mario and Shadow Mario if they are present at the same time. This unused code was eventually used by modders to create a proper multiplayer Super Mario Sunshine mod. I think it's amazing that this type of thing is even possible. Shout out to these talented modders. Throughout the game, you can visit this island here with a green warp pipe and a lone Pianta. He tells you that he has been stuck there for 3 years and how awful it is. When Delfino Plaza floods later in the game, you can see that he is now in the plaza on a roof and very happy to be off the island. After you beat the game, you can find him here near the entrance to Gelato Beach, where he simply wishes to return back to the island again. Within the game's files, there's a text document called dalpic1.bmg that contains dialogue for an unfinished scenario that involved Mario helping out a family of tourists. This likely would have given Mario a star or some blue coins, as it requires him to help look for a missing child, escort a child to a station, and help a kid find their dad. There's also text in here from the mayor, who talks to Mario and refers to him as Mr. Mustache, and eventually Master Mustache as you progress in the game. This was likely cut pretty early into development, as there are no other remnants of this except for the text. At the very start of the game, the Lighthouse in Delfino Plaza gets swallowed up by goop, and you have to fight a Piranha Plant boss to get it back. During this fight, if you look where the top of the lighthouse would normally be, you can see the ground pound pad still there, even though the lighthouse is gone. This pad normally gives you a star when you ground pound it with enough height, but they forgot to move it when the lighthouse falls into the goop. In Pinna Park, there are some Nokis jamming out and playing some music. If you listen closely, you can hear that the tune from their shell is actually the first few notes of the original Super Mario Bros. Theme. The Manta Ray boss fight in the Manta Storm level of Sirena Beach was referenced and recreated in Nintendo's much more recent game, Splatoon 3. In this game, the fight against Big Man features boss mechanics that are nearly identical to the Manta Ray, as he starts off as one big Manta before splitting into smaller ones after taking damage. The boss itself is even called the Hype Manta Storm. I already mentioned the planned sniper nozzle for FLUDD, but there was another nozzle that was also planned to be in the game. This is the Yoshi nozzle. Not too much is known about this nozzle or why it exists in the files, but it works very similarly to the regular spray nozzle, except you can't aim very high. And you also have a detached Yoshi head as your FLUDD nozzle now. This is crazy. The Japanese version, when Mario loses a life, the text that appears will say miss. This was changed in the later releases to say too bad. The text when you collect a shine was also changed, as the Japanese version says shine get, whereas all other versions simply just say shine. In the official manual, the zoomed in camera view that you get by pushing the Y button is officially called Mario Cam, despite never actually being called that in the game itself. Spaceworld 2001 was an event where Nintendo showed off one of the first trailers for Super Mario Sunshine. The game looks quite different than what we have for the final game, but there are two specific details from this trailer that I want to point out. First, the Piantas look considerably different than they do in the final game, as they have slightly more human proportions. Second thing I want to point out is this young girl that can be seen briefly in the trailer. Her being here shows that at one point there might have been more humans on Delfino Island. It's also possible this girl was part of the removed mission I mentioned earlier, where you help a family of tourists. Within the game's files, there are some unused voice lines for Mario when he is opening a door in the Sirena Hotel.
Another door? Hello, door.
These voice lines were supposed to play when Mario was low on health, but they are only assigned to these two doors in the test stage, and none of the doors that are actually accessible in the game. In the King Boo boss fight, you're supposed to throw peppers at King Boo so that he becomes vulnerable when you throw fruits at him. You don't actually have to throw the fruits like the game wants you to. You can instead just jump into King Boo while holding a fruit and it will still work. Within the game's files, there are sunglasses for a Toad. These are unused in the final game, as none of the Toads ever wear sunglasses. Missed opportunity, in my opinion. There are no green Yoshis in Super Mario Sunshine. We got purple, pink, and orange, but not green, despite that being the usual default color for the dinosaur. The only time you can actually see a green Yoshi is when a Yoshi dies from lack of juice. As they're fading out of existence, you can briefly see them turn green. The names of a bunch of levels that never made it into the final game still linger within the game's files. Warship Island, Erto Rock, Fire Shrine, and Hotel Lacrima are the main levels that never made it into the final game, but there are also a bunch of stations listed too. Stations being listed for each area tells us that some sort of train system was planned at some point in development. All these areas were created from the ground up in the Super Mario Clips mod with missions, blue coins to find, and lots of other hidden details. The creators of this mod did a fantastic job creating these areas that never made it into the final game. The creators of Eclipse also brought back the Hainokuri, or fire chestnut enemy from the Spaceworld trailer. This guy here was left unused and unfinished in the game's code, but the Eclipse developers finished his coding and brought him back into their own mod of the game. He runs around and poops out stew enemies every so often, but doesn't really do a whole lot else. If you talk to a Pianta, you become invincible. This is very handy while bees are after you, as the bees will not be able to do any damage to you. They will push you around while you are talking to the Pianta, but no damage. You can use this to clip into some areas you are not normally supposed to be, as Mario's collision acts a bit strangely while he is talking. The bees pushing does seem random though, so it's kinda up to the bees where you go. If you talk long enough, you can have the bees push Mario pretty far. In the Blooper Surfing Safari level, there are 3 blooper colors to choose from. There's green, yellow, and purple. Within the game's files, the purple one is actually referred to as a red blooper, suggesting that it would have been red instead of purple originally. This was likely changed to keep the game more kid-friendly, as the redness of the blooper might have looked a bit like blood. If you use hacks to remove Il Piantissimo's mask, you can see that he is really the runner guy from Ocarina of Time. In this game, he has slightly darker skin, a goatee, and is a bit angrier, but otherwise it is the same guy. In level 6 of Bianco Hills, the sun is mysteriously missing. This is the only episode of Bianco Hills to not have the sun around. Something about the dirty lake must be making the sun hide on us. The Wiggler boss fight in Gelato Beach has a glitch with the music. If you press the Z button while the Wiggler boss is dying, the music will start to play much slower than usual. It will also sometimes speed up randomly too, but as you do this, it'll mostly just get slower and slower. You can repeat this multiple times to really mess it up. When you have 10 shines but haven't unlocked Pinna Park yet, there is a secret underneath the plaza. This specific version of the plaza has a yellow toad that is running around out of bounds below the plaza. He is likely here because his pathing got messed up, as he is normally in a regular place in the other versions of the plaza. I'm guessing he was supposed to be here with Toadsworth and this purple toad, but somehow he ended up down here. You can talk to him, but it is pretty hard to do, as anytime you stop jumping while down here, you instantly die. I seriously must have died close to 50 times before finally getting the toad to talk to me. And even then, I still died. During the Mecha Bowser boss fight in Pinna Park, Mario can collect water bottles to refill his water meter. However, one of the bottles during the fight is unobtainable. The bottle that you can't collect is on the very top of the first loop. Mario will ride right past it, even if he is out of water. It doesn't really matter too much though, since there's a sprinkler placed not far after the bottle. Pretty sure they just accidentally placed the bottle too far out of Mario's reach here. If Mario touches his head on the top of the sewers in Delfino Plaza, his durian kick becomes much stronger. Pretty sure this is because touching the ceiling of the sewer messes with Mario's collision in some weird way that changes how he interacts with durians. It is possible to put out the fire on this Pianta even without having your FLUDD. If you go into a body of water and then dive towards the Pianta, some of the water on Mario will fly off of him and hit the Pianta. If you do this enough times, you can put out the fire without ever actually spraying any water. It will take you quite a while though, so I do not at all recommend this strategy. It is much easier to just get FLUDD and spray him, as this took me over 25 minutes to fully put out the fire. Something that is much easier to do is this next glitch. This here is the Invisible Plaza glitch. It allows you to explore Delfino Plaza, but almost everything is invisible. Objects still have their collision, but now you can see through everything. To turn your plaza invisible, you have to use a rocket nozzle like this next to the blue coin exchange hut. If you are in the right spot, you should enter the hut, where you then want to dive off to the side, and voila! You are now in the invisible Delfino Plaza. Now that the buildings are invisible, you can very clearly see the inaccessible rocket nozzle that is for some reason in this bell tower. You can also see 1-ups in the sewers from above ground. This is one of the most interesting glitches in the game. I highly recommend you try it out sometime. It's not very hard to set up at all. The next couple of facts I got here for you are not exactly useless, but I think they're worth sharing here regardless. Rocket storage is an extremely cool technique you can use to charge up the rocket nozzle multiple times before blasting off to get extra height. You can get really high up with this, and it's not very hard to do. You just have to first collect the rocket nozzle, then find a ledge you can sidestep off of. Once you've done that, switch to the regular nozzle and enter the sidestep with L. Then go back to rocket while still in sidestep and charge up your rocket. Make sure to let go of the sidestep once the charge reaches very close to the top. If done correctly, you won't blast off at all and you will have successfully stored one rocket. Do this as many times as you'd like and then sidestep off the ledge to unleash the stored rockets. You can also do this with the turbo nozzle. You just have to simply let it charge while holding down. After you've let it charge for a while, you can sidestep off. It's a bit slower to do, but you can go extremely high with this method too. And that was 60 mostly useless facts for Super Mario Sunshine. Let me know in the comments what game you'd like to see covered next. You might even end up in the video. If you enjoyed this one, you should check out some of my other useless facts videos. I've covered a bunch of GameCube games already, and I'm planning to cover more soon. Thank you everyone who clicked the like button. It helps out my channel a lot, and thank you to all the channel supporters. Without you, I would not be able to stream and create content regularly. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Take care.